Then, when we dare to dream, let our castles in the air, our wonderful ideals, rest on foundations no wind can shift. Hello and welcome to the Scottish Rite Journal podcast, an audio presentation of the Scottish Rite Journal, brought to you and published by the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the world. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment on this article, and don't forget to hit the notifications bell. This week's article is Cornerstones of the Craft, Ibsen's The Master Builder as a Masonic Meditation, by Brother Charles Edward Andrew Lincoln IV, 32nd degree, read by Brother Matt Bowers, 32nd degree, and comes from the March-April 2026 issue of the Scottish Rite Journal. Albert Pike writes in Morals and Dogma in the lecture of the 22nd degree, Knight of the Royal Axe or Prince of Libanus. Toil of brain, heart, or hand is the only true manhood and genuine nobility. In the Scottish Rite, labor is not merely a productive activity, but a moral discipline that forms character, transmits responsibility, and binds one generation to the next. When work ceases to elevate and instead becomes a means of hoarding power or masking fear, it loses its initiatory function and turns corrosive. To see this principle tested in dramatic form, one may turn to Henrik Ibsen's Byggmäster Solness, known in English as The Master Builder. Rather than illustrating labor as moral formation, Ibsen presents a builder whose work has become entangled with anxiety, guilt, and the refusal to yield place to those who follow him. Read alongside Pike, the play becomes a meditation on what happens when toil is severed from its ethical purpose. Ibsen's The Master Builder, written near the height of his career, is a late and remarkably innovative work by a playwright already reshaping modern drama. Moving beyond social realism into psychological depth and rich symbolism, the play probes ambition, creative authority, fear of succession, and the costs of success itself. Its themes have remained compelling well beyond the 19th century. In 2013, the play was adapted for film as A Master Builder by Wallace Shawn, who starred alongside Andre Gregory, known to many from My Dinner with Andre, a testament to the work's continuing power as a meditation on creativity, authority, and the danger of building higher than one's inner foundations can support. Halvard Solness is a celebrated builder at the height of his success and a man quietly ruled by fear. Though admired by the public, he lives in dread of the younger generation, imagining them knocking at his door and demanding that he make room. To protect his position, he suppresses the talents of his assistant Ragnar Brovik, not because Ragnar lacks ability, but because he believes Ragnar's rise would confirm Solness's own decline. Solness's private life mirrors this anxiety. His marriage is marked by grief after the loss of his twin children as a result of a house fire, a catastrophe he half believes he somehow willed into being as the price of his professional ascent. He builds homes for others, yet feels incapable of inhabiting anything stable himself. Heights both attract and terrify him. Towers symbolize mastery, but also the ever-present risk of falling. The protagonist's equilibrium is shattered by the arrival of Hilda Vangel, a young woman who claims Solness once promised her a kingdom. She remembers him as daring and fearless, and she urges him to reclaim that former self. Hilda presses towards him what she calls castles in the air, visions of greatness unconstrained by caution or compromise. As a new building nears completion, Solness is driven to attempt one final ascent. In the closing scene, he climbs the tower of a home he finally has built for himself and his wife in order to crown it with a wreath before a cheering crowd and falls to his death, leaving unresolved whether his act was courage, delusion, or both. In Act 3 of Ibsen's The Master Builder, the topping out of a new tower becomes a public rite, complete with music in the street. Ragnar Brovik answers a question with a phrase that catches the ear of a Freemason. It's the band of a Mason's union. In the Norwegian original, Ragnar is pointing to a builders or construction workers association, not Freemasonry, yet the English translation still places us in the operative world of scaffold, stone, and work. That is enough. Ibsen's drama is not a Masonic play, but it is a builder's tragedy, a study of ambition, duty, legacy, and the peril of reaching higher than one's inner foundation can bear. As ever, we as Freemasons look to operative Masonry for our metaphors. For the Scottish Rite, Solness's fear of the younger generation marks the moment when authority curdles into hoarding. His refusal to let Ragnar build is not about technical difficulty, but about denying succession itself, a warning sign that leadership has ceased to form equals and has begun instead to guard status. Read beside Ibsen, Pike's words sharpen the play's central irony. Solness works constantly, yet his work is entangled with fear of losing status or having purchased his luck at another's expense. Work becomes a fortress. The Rite's corrective is not simply build more, but build nobly. Make toil a discipline of improvement rather than camouflage for unresolved guilt. The play is haunted by heights, towers, balconies, and the recurring dream of falling. Pike, this time in his Morals and Dogma 25th Degree lecture, Knight of the Brazen Serpent, in a different register, notes how the ancient world looked upwards for order and instruction. Among the Greeks, the march of the choruses in their theaters represented the movement of the heavens and the planets, and the strophe and the antistrophe imitated, Aristophanes says, the movements of the stars. The number 5 was sacred among the Chinese, as that of the planets other than the sun and moon. Astrology consecrated the numbers 12, 7, 30, and 360, and elsewhere 7. The number of the planets was as sacred as 12, that of the signs, the months, the oriental cycles, and the sections of the horizon. Whether or not we share the ancients' conclusions, the lesson for builders remains: honor measure. A tower without proportion becomes peril. A life without proportion becomes perilous. The Scottish Rite speaks of the great architect to remind us that wisdom includes balance between aspiration and humility, courage and caution, authority and service. Later in the play, Hilda names the dream that seduces and unmasks Solness's castles in the air. She praises them and then delivers the sting. Castles in the air, they are so easy to build too, especially for the builders who have a dizzy conscience. Solness answers with an axiom of the craft. Yes, one with a firm foundation under it. Ibsen's ending is unforgettable. The wreath, the cheering crowd, and the sudden fall. The play does not mock aspiration. It mourns aspiration unmoored. For a Scottish Rite Mason, that mourning can become instruction. Build high, but build true. Build the door open to the rising generation. Let toil be improvement. Then, when we dare to dream, let our castles in the air, our wonderful ideals, rest on foundations no wind can shift.